Hi everyone, my name is Grace and I'm working with Adesoji on this week's presentation. We'll be talking about the model view controller. What is a model view controller? The model view controller is mostly an architectural design pattern that helps create interface, design, and structure of the application. It separates the application functionality and promotes organized programming within developers. There are several frameworks that support MVC concepts: Laravel, Django, Express, Angular, and Flask. Django borrows some of the concepts but doesn't have the actual model view controller functionality. Most of these web frameworks have various ways to apply this concept in their folder structure. The model controls the logic and rules of the application, communicates with the controller, updates the view sometimes, and interacts with database. The view helps the user to see the model data, uses chart, table, or diagrams to represent information being shown to the user, can access the model data also. The controller is where most of the work is done. It provides support for input to the user, converts the input from the user to commands that are sent to the model and the view.
As Great has rightly said, model represents the knowledge. View is a visual representation of the model. It highlights some certain attributes of the model. It updates the model. The controller is the link between the user and the system. An example of a model can be the database, while an example of the view can be the HTML and CSS file. An example of a controller can be the web browser, because it is responsible for displaying the CSS file and also fetching data from the model. There are many variants of MVC. We have the MVP and then the MVVM. The MVP is known as the model view presenter. The model view presenter has two variants. We have the active model and then the passive model. In the passive model version, the controller is the only class that manipulates the model based on users' actions. The controller has to modify the model. After the model has been updated, the controller will notify the view that is also need to update. At that point, the view will request data from the model. As you can see from the image in the slide, the controller has a link to the model, and the controller has a link of update to the view, and then the view has a link back to the model to fetch the updated data. We can see from this passive model that the controller did majority of the job in order to allow the operation to go successfully. And then in the active model, for this case, when the controller is not the only class that modifies the model, the model needs a way to notify the view and other classes about the updates. This is achieved with the help of observer pattern. Observer pattern is another type of pattern apart from the MVC, but I think in this case they need to work together. The model contains a collection of observers that are interested in the updates. The view implements the observer interface and register as an observer to the model. We can see from the image that the center of everything in the active model The observer interface linked to every part of it, linked to the model, the view, and the controller. Every time the model updates, it will also iterate through a collection of observers and call the update method. The implementation of this method in the view will then trigger the request for latest data from the update of the model. As you can see in the next image, that there is a series of work to be done by the observer pattern in order to get data. And then I think this active data is well used now in web development, especially in LiveScore website, the LiveScore or flashscore.com website. I think this is the type of pattern they use in order to get the scores updated on time. There are many advantages of MVC. It aids separation of concern. As you all know, every developer tries to work with a team, and then working with a team, we need to separate concern. Some people will work on the model, while some will work on the controller, while some will work on the view. The next one is it is easily to maintain. MVC can easily be maintained, and then it can aid updates. For example, every time the Microsoft Windows and Office always update, this will be made easier if they have separation of concern. Like some people will work on the model, while some will work on the view, while some will work on the operating system that it will run on. Support TTD. Test-driven development is a way of testing our program. If we use MVC, we'll be able to test each unit separately. And it supports responsive websites. As I've said before, it helps website to respond immediately when we use Ajax and JSON. It helps create view engine. It encourages collaborative work, as I've said before. It aids productivity. There are also downsides to MVC, and the downside is not as much as the upside. One, the development is a little bit hard. Two, it is not advisable to be used in low-level projects. Three, it has a strict rule on methods. After series of research, we made the following recommendation. MVC can be best applied in web development, large project, desktop application, and mobile application.